Do you find yourself easily getting pulled off track by bright, shiny objects? That's exactly what we're talking about today in Mindful Manifesting. You're listening to Ariana Rollins. Now, we get drawn into those bright, shiny objects because we're looking for solutions. Things that look like they might help, but actually don't move the needle for the bigger things we want to accomplish. So let's talk more about phase 2 of the Manifesting Success Roadmap. And if you have not listened to phase 1, I recommend it. You can go to episode 180 and get all the details. All right. So bright, shiny object mode, it really is a mode. I've been there. Kind of throwing money, time, energy at anything that looks like it can help you get where you want to go. So you're trying to make things happen. You've got the clarity from phase 1. You know what you want, but unfortunately, you're not tuned in. Your enthusiasm and energy are so high, you're like a puppy going for a walk and chasing a butterfly, a leaf blowing in the wind. And, well, maybe not that action-oriented like a puppy, but you're lacking focus on what might help you get you where you want to go. You're lacking that focus and that tuning in to what truly can solve the problem. And anything that looks like it might help, you jump at it. We've been there, all of us, especially if you're an entrepreneur. We get sold to all the time in our email inbox. Yes, we do subscribe, but we get sold to a lot. And if we are open at that moment, we can jump in, thinking that the newest social media approach on Instagram will help us create a larger reach, or will help us get our messages read, or will help us sell programs. You know, this is an exciting phase because you're connected with hope and infinite possibilities. You're no longer wondering what you want without clarity. You're clear. You believe in and are passionate about your intention. But since you don't know what will be helpful, what will move you forward, we kind of like, you go into a shotgun approach, like trying this, trying that. And it's so common that we can find ourselves falling into action before alignment. Now, we're going to talk more about aligned action, which is really the success of this phase, aligned action. So just let me give you a picture. I think it's a great one. And I borrowed this from Abraham Hicks. It's so brilliant. You get the vacuum out. You vacuum the whole house. It looks great. You see that you vacuum it. You see the lines of the vacuuming. But then you turn around. You realize you forgot to plug it in. And while it looks like you vacuumed the whole place, you didn't pick anything up. So without alignment is like vacuuming without plugging in the cord. So that can drain hope. But the good news is, if you're in phase 2, if you start to recognize yourself here, you are open and ready for improvement. We just need to put a little pause. We need to reflect and start discerning what action will be successful. Because now most people don't have unlimited time or unlimited resources to throw at things to solve the problem. I think we were a little more full of abundance back in 2020. I think there was a lot of online program growth, and we were locked down. We were looking for anything that would help move us towards what we wanted to accomplish. We had the time. Things are different now. We're in 2026. We've got to be discerning. So, and without knowing what action will help you, you can kind of go into a desperation mode. And without that clarity on, is this going to help, waste time, money, resources. I can recognize when someone's been trying for so long to accomplish their goal and they've not been successful, they're stuck in phase 2. And after a while, because that hope and enthusiasm wanes, they actually can start to distrust that something will help. Isn't that interesting? It's kind of like that pendulum swinging, right? They've tried so many books, programs, affirmations, meditations, coaches, and they're still not progressing. When they finally come to me, the first step is healing. Yeah, I said it, healing. And reconnecting them with their dream that it is possible. And sometimes it's piling all the books that they've bought or all the programs that they've bought into a spreadsheet on their computer. And we go one by one, determining whether it will serve them. And if not, get rid of it. I've done this. I've done this with my clients. And it's really illuminating because they find themselves, instead of being dispersed, they've got that clarity and changes start to happen. Now, one of the things that can happen is staying too long in this phase can cause us to lose hope. And hope is essential. Hope is essential to make a new reality and accomplish our desire, our intention. Without hope, we're kind of like beggars and just allowing any scrap to come our way. And it feels terrible without that certainty and confidence that we know we deserve it. We also have no energy to uplift and take that inspired action. So this sounds kind of like a pretty sad state of affairs, right? I'm going to summarize the symptoms, and then I'd like you to assess, does this sound like you? Because if you're in phase 2, awesome, you know what you want. We just need a little bit of healing, and we need to move you to phase 3. So stay tuned, because even though this might feel like a bitter pill to swallow, you will feel empowered by the truth and energized by your action steps, the ones that are going to really make a difference. Okay, here's some symptoms. See if you are nodding your head. Even though you know what you want, you've got clarity from phase 1, you don't understand the underlying issue why you're stuck in first gear. You don't know what will help. You aren't connected to your strengths and weaknesses. Now, in my work, we call this the pivotal area of your life. Super valuable if you know what that is. Pivotal area of your life means that once you resolve it, it moves the needle on almost every area of your life. It's kind of that keystone. So you can feel like there's the pain of luck and wasted effort. You are eager to get out of frustration. You can jump into any solution that has a promise. You can find yourself wasting time, energy, and sometimes money in bright, shiny object mode. So the core issue in this phase is we aren't operating in the present moment. Yeah, I use an Eckhart Tolle phrase. We're randomly seeking relief. There's no structure, system, or strategy, just temporary relief from frustration. It's hard to live in frustration for that long. We want to get out of that fight or flight and that pressure mode. What's so painful about staying stuck in this phase is that we aren't solving the real problem, the issue. So why I use a different approach. After phase 1, we've got clarity around our intention. Episode 180, if you've not listened to it. We wait for inspired action before investing time, energy, or money. And at first, I gotta tell you, it can feel uncomfortable because we think progress equals movement. Progress equals taking action, but not always, not always. But like anything that is big and important, when we pause and reflect on how to get there, it makes the biggest difference in our success. We will be successful. Now, I really want to make this important, bold, okay, or an exclamation point. We don't focus on how it will happen. We tune into how we want to feel on the path, not only at our successful destination. And that helps us know when action's needed and what the right action will be. So the missing why. You may have clarity on what you want. You realize you aren't tapped into your why. Your why is your juice, your emotional charge to keep you going, to stay on that path even when you don't have immediate success. If we aren't connected to our why, we lose steam. Sometimes going after why we want something can make the difference between staying stuck in phase 2 and being successful and nudging you into phase 3. Here's an example. I've had people come to me and they want to make money. Great. That's a great intention. And then I dig a little deeper because I know that the why they want to make money can be the juice, can be the power for them to succeed. And sometimes, my friends, the why is the real intention. I'll explain. There was a woman who came to me once who was going through major health crisis. And she was investing in all sorts of conventional healers, and she needed just all sorts of support to overcome what she was going through. So and during our first conversation, I asked, what do you want to accomplish? She says, I want to make money, make more money. I said, great, okay. Then we dug deeper. She became fixated on that money will solve the problem. Money will get her health back. Money was what she was going after. But she didn't realize that if we'd focused on solving the health issue, that was the thing that was going to solve the problem. It wasn't the money. Because what if she was investing in 5 different modalities and they weren't going to solve the problem? Maybe there was a direct path. So digging into your why can be helpful. Because once we fixate on one path, this is going to get us there, right? We close ourselves off to other possibilities. And when we close ourselves off, we're like a hamster on a rat wheel. We're just looking for making more money. So, letting go strategy. Here's the amazing thing. Once we give up looking for the thing we want to manifest, it often finds us. Fascinating, right? I have heard this so many times, and you probably have as well, where there's a couple and they're trying to have a baby. Maybe they're doing fertility, and if that's you, I've got so much compassion. That is a really hard road to follow. And then they decide to adopt. Guess what happens? They have a baby. They get pregnant and they have a baby. So when we stop fixating on, I want to have a baby, and maybe we solve it in another way, we find ourselves, it's naturally coming to us. So letting go is important, but strategy is also important. Manifesting isn't just about clearing blocks, clearing limiting beliefs. We need a comprehensive system to follow to create the future on purpose. Intentional manifesting. Intentional, not spontaneous. And with that vision combined with strategy, you've got a track to run on. And you know when you're off. You know when you're not aligned. You know when to clear a block. And you know exactly which one it is. So when people get tired, when someone stays in this phase too long, they can get exhausted. And they may want to give up on their intention because a part of them says they're almost ready to give up on their goal because they're not seeing progress. But in reality, it's right there. It's just they've not been using that aligned, intentional action. And what can happen is they can return to phase 1 because they've given up on it. And now they're trying to figure out clarity on what they really want. And then when you're stuck in phase 1, it's like accepting the status quo. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. So here's the positive, guys, all right? Action steps for phase 2. Anchor your progress. Instead of focusing on what's not happening, look for clues of what is shifting. Synchronicities, small wins, moments of ease. These are breadcrumbs that something is working beneath the surface. Reframe a disappointment. Think of a time you jumped into something and it didn't work. Maybe it was one of the bright, shiny object investments you made. Notice how it feels in your body. Now, I invite you to ask yourself how you would have liked to have handled that. Now, I didn't say imagine that idea or that book or that program was successful. I asked you, how would you have liked to have handled it? Right? For example, say you did enroll in a program and within 2 weeks you felt, this is off. This is not right for me. How would you have liked to have handled it? Maybe you wouldn't have just sucked it up and pushed yourself even further. You reached out to the program director and said, this is what I'm sensing. I didn't realize it when I enrolled. Can I please get a refund? Or do you have something else I could take? So you're taking action. So how would you have liked to have handled it is you're an inspired action. So success in phase 2, action items, is try this. Commit to your intention or goal for one period of time, 30 days, for example, long enough to gather evidence that you are getting breadcrumbs, you are experiencing synchronicity, and that you're noticing that it's working for you. And one little thing because I really like to see what's going to be happening when I'm successful in phase 2. Here it is for you. Ready? You're consistent and you are seeing subtle movement. Not dramatic breakthroughs, but stability. That's success in phase 2. And we will only see that if we stick to something for 30 days or so, right? So in our next episode, a little teaser, we're going to move into phase 3, the phase where you stop worrying, pushing, and trying to make things happen. And start learning how to let go of control with intentionality. Not just sit on the sofa, close your eyes, and go, oh. No, letting go of control with intentionality and not giving up on what you want. So after the series, I'm going to show you how I work with someone from moving from phase 1 into phase 2, and you'll start to see where action becomes aligned and momentum begins to build. And then you'll start noticing things happening without even your conscious effort. It's like, oh, that was easy. And you love that. All right. As we start to wrap up, remember, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. This was phase 2. Hopefully it was insightful. Can't wait to share with you phase 3. So much love. Many blessings. Bye for now.